everyone. Welcome to the Nurse Maggie YouTube channel. We are grateful to have another opportunity to be able to bring to you some content of things that we've learned concerning healthy weight management. Thank you for your patience. It's been a ride, and by God's grace, we'll be wrapping up this section of talking about healthy weight management. And next week, by the grace of God, we're going to come with a topic on sexual abuse and rape. What are the similarities? What are the differences? Which people are susceptible to this? And what are the conditions that surround or make it favorable for this to happen? What can we as parents do to safeguard our growing children, the children that have been given to us as responsibility to cater for? So that will be next week by God's grace. But today we're going to talk about the influences of certain hormones on our system when it comes to a healthy weight management. How do hormones affect our weight? So I have a board right here. Thank God I have a director today. So my board you're able to read it. And I separated this topic of today into three major parts. This is not just literature. It is something that I have observed, as I said from the beginning. And these parts that I came up with are the most important factors to consider when we're talking about hormones and weight gain, hormones and healthy weight management, okay? So we'll jump right into the first part. If you haven't seen our other videos before this point, please do well to revisit my other videos on exercise, on hydration, on diet, proteins and stuff like that, to be able to situate yourself in a place of success. So the very first thing we're going to discuss today concerning hormonal influences is going to be stress. It's unfortunate when we're talking about stress and its effect on somebody's health or its effects on somebody's weight, which is what we focus on right now, because stress is a word that has become of daily use, okay? So even teenagers these days do experience stress. When I was growing up, that was a word I did not know until I was, I think, 27 or 28. It's the first time I knew about the word stress. I didn't know about it. Unfortunately, the world of today is that way. So what happens when somebody lives under persistent stress? We have the release of cortisol, okay? Cortisol is a hormone that is not a bad hormone. Cortisol is a good hormone, okay? We have cortisol, we have epinephrine. These hormones together were given to us by God to help us deal with emergencies, okay? To help us deal with critical situations. For example, you're crossing the road and you see a car coming towards you. It's like 100 miles an hour or higher, and then there is a pump of these hormones into your system and it makes you to skip, okay? You skip and you take flight. So this hormone is a good hormone, but the downside comes when we are always under stress. All right, before we even talk about the stress part of cortisol release and epinephrine, I have here some of the benefits, like it normalizes our blood sugar and our blood pressure. It helps our heart muscles. It heightens our memory and it increases our function of the immune system. Those are some of the benefits of having a normal level of cortisol in our system. Now, remember, we said normal level. But when it becomes an increase and constant release of cortisol, like we usually say, too much of a good thing is bad. Okay? Now, when you're constantly under stress, cortisol and epinephrine, they are released constantly, it becomes a bad thing for you. Why does it become a bad thing for you? When you have these hormones constantly in your system, in your blood system at high levels, it increases the use of your glucose. Glucose, we said, is energy, okay? The calories. For a layman, we'll call it the calories, okay? Now, when everything you eat is used up and nothing is stored, your cells become deprived of the nutrients, they become deprived of the energy that they need to function well, okay? So right here, I said use of glucose, starvation of your cells. When your cells get starved, what happens? You start receiving false signals of hunger. And it is amazing how our brain works, because for years I took note of these things. I didn't have an understanding of how these things work, and I took note of them, and it was surprising to me to see that the literature or the data on research supports it, okay? So now your cells, they feel starved. Because your cells are starved, your brain starts sending signals of hunger, of starvation. We've talked about the brain signals of starvation before, right? When we're talking about anorexic patients. So your brain starts sending false signals of hunger. Meanwhile, you've eaten, but the problem is you are using all of the calories because of the excess of these hormones in your system. Now, when you get that signal of false hunger, what happens is you start craving for food, and you're not craving for vegetables, you're not craving for fruits, you're not craving for wheat bread, like 2 slices of toast. No, you're craving for high calorie foods, which are simple carbohydrates, which are fats, which are empty sugars. We talked earlier about empty calories. So that is what happens when you start having these false signals of hunger. You start craving for these things. And then what happens when you start eating excess of those things? You realize that you start gaining weight, okay? Another disadvantage is that when you are constantly under stress, what the body does to safeguard a human, you know, we are created in a magnificent way. When your body starts feeling that you are under pressure, you are under stress, you are under danger, it shuts down the systems that are not so important, okay? So that it can concentrate on systems that are important, like your cardiovascular system, and with that, the functioning of your brain. Because at that point, its main purpose is keeping you alive, okay? Now, when it shuts that down, guess what system gets shut down? Your gastric system, gastrointestinal system. It gets shut down. The blood is sent to organs that are considered vital. Now, when that system gets shut down, what does it affect? It affects your digestion. It again affects your possibility of absorbing any nutrients, okay? Now, the starvation is getting even worse. First, you were starved. Now, you're getting even more starved. So, it's like a bad a terrible vicious cycle when you are functioning under constant stress. Okay? So, and that is how gastric ulcers also, in the majority of cases, get formed when people live for a long time under persistent stress and they do not handle the stress well. So it is common to see that these people with time will develop gastric ulcers, okay, or intestinal ulcers. So that is one factor. That is how stress and the hormones that are released affects us negatively or affects our health negatively. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're constantly under stress, I have a sad news for you that until you manage your stress levels, you would probably not have a good outcome in managing your weight to a healthy place. Now, let's talk about sleep. Sleep is easy. It's so easy, but it is one of the things that is disregarded by so many people. So anytime you stay up at up to 2 a.m., and I know this for myself, when I do that 2 days, 3 days, because I'm working late, I try to see how I can catch up. I'm not catching up on those days I missed, but I'm catching up some sleep to be able to relax my system and to change my hormonal components, okay? So that I will stop the process of the effects of lack of sleep. So sleep. There are two hormones that are important when we're talking about sleeping well or not sleeping well. The first hormone is called leptin. Leptin is a hormone that makes you to feel full. It makes you to feel satisfied when it concerns food. And the other hormone is called ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hunger feeling hormone, okay? And this hunger feeling, not feeling like in F-I-L-L, but F-E-E-L, hunger feeling hormone. And this hunger feeling hormone stimulates somebody's appetite. So when you sleep well, you have the release of leptin into your system. You eat a little bit, you are satisfied, you are ready to hit the road, you are ready to undertake your activities. When you do not sleep well, ask me, okay? I'm somebody who knows this so well because years ago I used to do this. This was my lifestyle for about 5 years in a stretch, okay? So in those years, I was constantly, at least 5 years, I was constantly functioning with ghrelin in my system, okay? It keeps you feeling hungry. It does not matter what you eat. It does not matter how much you just ate, how long ago you ate. It keeps you feeling hungry. And why is that? You are so tired, you are so exhausted, and your brain interprets that as a lack of the supply of glucose, okay? Here again, we have a wrong interpretation, okay? Because you are tired, your system is druggy, your system is not functioning well, your brains would interpret that as if you are not supplying your body with enough glucose or calories or energy. In that case, it starts releasing excess of ghrelin to cause you to eat. Meanwhile, you have eaten. The problem is you did not sleep well. Okay? So, with this being said, please, if you are trying to get into a healthy weight, sleep is important. It is advised at least to get 8 hours of sleep a day. Most people don't. I hardly get up to 8 hours, but I try to find a balance. Maybe 6 hours today, tomorrow 7, the next 8, then the other day 5. I try as much as possible to get a balance of sleep. So if you're sitting up doing other things, not minding about sleep, and you're trying to lose weight, it's like you are fighting an uphill battle, because you have these things that are working against you. You want to be eating healthy, you want to be eating fresh food, but ghrelin will not allow you to eat those things. It will send you to high calorie foods because it thinks that you need those calories. Okay, so now let's talk about age. When it comes to age, and I'm thinking of menopause, but even before menopause, okay, it is a given that from the time you are born and you're growing up, your system changes. Environmental factors, genetic factors, social factors, cultural factors, everything affects us as we going on with our years on earth. Our system is constantly changing, and especially when we start hitting 30, 35, and then we get to 40, we get to 45, and by the time we get to menopause, we at the peak, okay, of these hormonal changes. But to say that it's only the hormonal changes of menopause that will cause a vast or great change in our weight would be a false statement. It does affect our weight somehow, but there are other factors that affect our aging, which is not just menopause. Okay, so when we age, the truth of the matter is, as we age, we have to constantly make little ameliorations, changes to better our habits. Okay, when you were younger, you could sleep for 5 hours every day, 4 hours, and function well. When you're getting older, you need more sleep. What you used to eat when you were in your 30s is not what you'll be eating when you're approaching 50s. We have to make those changes to accommodate for the physical changes in our bodies. So yeah, I wrote that we gain weight around the midsection with age, especially women around the midsection, and also there is a decrease in muscle mass as we age. Okay, hopefully we keep exercising to keep our muscles rebuilding, but there is a decrease in muscle mass. First of all, let me just make a quick note. The amount of weight we carry in our midsection has a lot to do with the probability of us having a heart attack or not. Okay, so it is easy to go to a cardiologist's office and you see that they measure your midsection to be able to get an understanding or a preview of what your cardiac expectations would be in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years. Okay, so that is just an extra information. Secondly, with muscle mass loss, muscles, we have to understand that muscles use up a lot of calories as compared to fats. Fats, really, when your body is made up of more fat, you burn less calories. You don't burn as much calories as muscles do. That is why we see that men burn more calories, men lose weight faster, because they have their build-up is, they have more muscles than a regular female does. Okay, and also apart from calories, there's also water. Muscles use up a lot of water and fat does not. So when you start having muscle mass loss, it affects those things. So if before you used to be able to maintain a good weight with 2,000 calories a day, just because you're having muscle mass loss right now, you might be needing but 1,500 calories or something like that. Because if you maintain your 2000 calories measurement, then you realize that you're gaining weight and it'll be a surprise. Like, why am I gaining weight? I've been eating this way for 10 years. This is why you're gaining weight, because with age, you are losing muscle mass. Okay, so there is no need to talk about all those things without talking about solutions to them. As an educator, we point out an issue and we try to come up with a solution, okay? So we are not in desperation. So propose solutions to everything that we have discussed from the first time we started this topic of healthy weight management up to this moment. What are the proposed solutions? The very first would be drink lots of water. If you want details on that, please refer to my video on hydration to get the details of that. Eat healthy, but you cannot eat healthy if you're not sleeping well. Okay, you need to sleep well, and you need to reduce stress to be able to eat healthy. So the third point is sleep well. The fourth point is exercise more. When you were young, most young people, especially in our African community, they do not exercise. So, but as you're getting older, you need to increase your time and efforts when it comes to exercising. First, you need to build those muscles, and then you need extra time to be able to burn as much calories and stuff like that. So exercise more, have more fun, reduce stress causing activities. Those things that stress you out, put them one side, focus on the things that keep you happy, because that happy feeling is also impacting the type of hormones your system produces. So that is a wrap for this healthy weight management. Please, as I said, you can check the other videos to get details on that. But in summary, this is how our hormones affect whether we're going to manage our weight well and easily, or if it's going to be a flop. Okay? All right, so I'll see you next week for sexual abuse and rape. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so. Please like, please share. There is a lot of people struggling with their weight. Do well to share with your friends and family. And thank you for your assistance. Until next week, cheers. How many minutes?
22.
Oh, good. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. When I start to cap this, you look, I fear. At least I don't hit 40.
No, I know they look now because I look for, because I know as I use my phone.